Oh yeah, it was like I said, all scenarios that they had matches at WrestleMania, everything had a different flavor, brought a different scenario, different emotion to it. So it was not like you would see. It's just a match to have a match, or it's like, hey, this guy said this about me. It's not even about that. This is a very a lot of history there, a lot of history, and different situations, different emotions. So it's like it's like you said, the next match brought something a whole lot more different, and
And to me, it had more gravity.
oh, by far, it brought in so much more, and it's like this here is different. The next one, 19 was, yeah, man, it was just Rock needed to win that match, even though back then I was like, but I also knew that it was needed to do that, and Austin was on his way out anyway, so it's a good match, obviously, but every match they've had was great.
One of the things I think is funny, and I don't know if you watched this far into the A&E documentary on Austin, but Austin pointed out when they kept doing their moves to each other that I forget. I think it was Michael Hayes. They did that to annoy Michael Hayes because he hated it. To keep doing that to each other finish. I think it was Michael Hayes.
No, it was Arn Anderson.
Arn Anderson, okay.
Yeah, it was Arn Anderson. I just the other day I finished up that. Oh, I guess it was the other day or whatever day it was. I finished up that documentary, and Arn, he's not a fan of that, so they did that to get on his nerves. But
yeah, I think that's funny. I just think that's funny, the fact they kept just doing it just to annoy somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it makes sense for who the two guys are.
I thought it was interesting that The Rock pushed. I guess I don't remember, but I don't think I watched 19 actually. No, I didn't even watch 19 live. That was interesting that Rock pushed Earl Hebner aside for him to have a moment with Austin. Like, you see Earl Hebner trying to listen in to what's going on. He's like, "Move it, dude. This is between me and Austin." It was funny there.
Yeah, that was a good ending to the documentary, but also the fact that they highlighted how close those two guys were.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They had meant a lot to each other, and their careers would not have been the same if they hadn't had better storylines for a long time, and it wouldn't have been the same. Because it's like you can have a Rock, Austin McMahon for a while, but you need that in ring competitor to have have that same volume of that heel's character, and from back then, and now it's just different. So the problem is you don't see that kind of passion, that kind of storyline anymore.
No, and one of the things I thought about, I'm like, well, Triple H was in there, and I go, wait. The only problem is Triple H is not as good at promo as both Stone Cold and The Rock are. So yeah, they're good in ring, but Triple H cannot do a Rock or Austin promo by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I think it's one of the. They all had good storylines and good matches and so forth. They did absolutely. Just I think just the chemistry on. Well, that's one of the things is because obviously the promo was not quite on top of theirs, but I think the chemistry really went well together for all three of them. Obviously, Rock and Austin was top notch.
And you gotta give, obviously they're top notch. But one thing you gotta give credit for Triple H is he was definitely a good heel for either one of those guys.
Oh, by far, not even question. I mean, you look at all these guys from back then. It's like it was a good puzzle. They all meshed. I mean, you throw in Foley and Undertaker as well as other people too. But it's just good chemistry. They all did try different things, and it didn't get stale. It never got stale. That's the big thing about it. It never got stale. You can throw in other people in there too. Didn't get stale. Never got stale. And man, we would not see. I mean, you're not going to see the same wrestlers or the same personas. You're not going to see that again. But it's more or less you try to dig into what you've seen at one point in time. But it's not going to be duplicated, obviously. Mm-hmm. But you don't see that type of where it don't get stale. You just see people more emotions in.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I don't like about current WWE. I forgot to mention during Triple H's match that he actually came out to Motorhead playing his theme live.
Yeah,
that was my fault.
Oh, I actually forgot about it. Now I mentioned it.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, there was a live band. Who had the live band? I go, oh, right. But yeah, it didn't get stale. And one of the things that WWE did back then, it was they had a bunch of people going and they would cycle them in and out as they needed. And they don't really do that nowadays. Like, I mean, the main storyline on SmackDown has to do with Roman Reigns, Cesaro, Drew, not Drew, Daniel Bryan, and Jey Uso. And Cesaro, this is his first kind of knocking at the door at a title like that.
The main storylines I can remember the past several months, it makes it memorable, is between you had KO and Reigns, and you had Drew and Randy, and Drew and Randy, and Randy and the Fiend. Really, that's the main. I mean, Drew and Bobby's are not really. Doesn't stand out enough, but for me at least. But that's like the last number of months. I mean, I do like Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, what they did, for storyline. And now I guess Bianca's moved on to Bayley, but the last several months, that's the main storylines. I mean, what I mean by the Fiend, that's adding in Alexa Bliss. But I mean, the last several months of feuds, that's the most. I mean, it's just saying something cool. It's nice to have something going on, but you just don't see that. Back at one point, they're just not enough out there to really make things like, oh yeah, that sticks out. At one point, you talk about this the past years, and things stuck out, man. Everything was still sticking out, and now it's just different. But, it is what it is. But that's all.
Yeah. One of the things I also want to touch on that's more recent. This isn't related to WWE, but Rebellion just happened last night. Where that was Impact's Rebellion, which I really hope that they bring back TNA. I'd rather just call it TNA. It was Impact's Rebellion where Rich Swann faced off with Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega won the belts off of Rich Swann. So currently, Kenny Omega is holding the AEW championship, the AAA championship, the Impact championship, and the TNA championship. So he's holding on to 4 belts currently. So.
Well, I'm going to have to agree to disagree with you. I'm glad that they don't call it TNA anymore. It didn't go very well with fans who are not watching. So it's like yeah. So you say, hey, what you watching? No, I'm watching TNA. I'm like, it's not a very. I get the fact that you really spell out what it really means. Total nonstop action wrestling, but it wasn't a very good thought going into it, thinking this is going to be TNA. It's like you're not thinking of wrestling. You're talking about your outside crowd, so that's where I was happy when they changed the name. That's me personally, but they need to keep on, huh?
I'm not a big fan of the Impact name being used the way it is. It's just what's what I'm looking for? It just doesn't roll off the tongue, I guess, because we're used to wrestling companies having like letters like ROH, NWA, AEW, WWE, WCW, ECW. The only one that doesn't really fall into that is New Japan. But then you have like Impact. It's like, okay, I understand why you want to get rid of the TNA name, but you guys got to come up with something else.
How about they call it like it's IPT. How about that?
What's that stand for?
Impact. Yeah, there's the letters in there.
Oh, gotcha.
IPT. I think it's good for them to, but yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's something different. Like they had a 6-sided ring, and that was something different. I don't know, but I just think it's best they not TNA didn't really do them very much favors as far as outside crowds, but
I get what you're saying. It's just one of those where
I know we're all looking for the letters, but
yeah, that's the marketability mainly with wrestling fans is those 3 letters. That's what people usually look for.
One company that stands out, I guess. So I don't know.
Impact. What's Impact? It's a movie, that kind of thing.
Yeah. There's a movie called Impact.
I think so. I think there is a movie called
Would
Impact.
surprise me.
But that's what's going on there, and it's good to see New Japan working with Impact, AEW working with Impact. Impact is benefiting completely from it. One of the things I was talking about with Mark before we recorded is one of the things I would actually like to see is somebody from Impact challenge Darby for the TNT title. Not win it, obviously, but challenge him, whether it be, Trey Miguel, TJ Perkins, Brian Myers, Matt Cardona. There's plenty of other guys on the roster. Raju.
Jake something.
Well, Jake who?
Jake something.
Do you know what his last name is?
Yeah, something.
Right, but do you know what it is?
Someone in real life?
No, in Impact, like on the TV show.
Yeah, Jake something.
Right, but do you know what it is?
I know what you're doing to me. I already knew what you're doing to me. I was like trying to piss with you. It was like, yeah.
It's I was doing a who's on first.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, I knew you were messing with me. I was like, let's just be done with
it. That's why you kept saying Jake something. I'm like, yeah, but do you know what it is? Like,
yeah, Jake something. What it is? Jake something.
I think it's so weird. Like they didn't even so they took him off for being cousin Jake, and they're like, oh, we won't give you a last name. You'll just be Jake something.
Honestly, I think it's kind of cool in one way. I mean, I don't know. It's not what you would see on a main event Wrestlemania, obviously, or even not. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, so what was that guy's name? Oh, Jake, Jake something. I don't know. But it makes so it's kind of cool. I don't see being the, like I said, Mania main event or anything like that. But I don't know what his intentions are. But it's just kind of cool to have that name though.
There's a couple other things about Impact. Rebellion. We saw a big cast come to Impact. He's going by W. Morrissey on Impact. Looks like he's
what? W what?
W. Morrissey. It's actually his first initial last name.
I don't like that name.
I don't either. He was going by Kaz XL, so why not just do that? But he debuted to take Eric Young's place in the tag match with Violent by Design, which honestly, that's a good fit for him, being in Violent by Design. So, so that happened with Impact, and Impact also ran a video package for their upcoming pay-per-view in July. I can't remember the name of it right. I think it's Hard to Kill. I think it might be Hard to Kill.
Hard to Kill.
Where they played a clip that had Samoa Joe in it. That also made references to both the Iconics and what's the guy that got released a little bit ago? Andrade. So there's rumors floating around that they're going to Impact. I actually think that's Impact taking advantage of the fact that those people got released because he did something similar last release, but they didn't pick up all those people. They just made references to it to kind of garner interest and get people to talk about it, which we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I think that's all just a game because Don Callis and Scott D'Amore are very, very smart guys. They know how to take advantage of something like this.
We'll see how that turns about. It'd be kind of cool to see him in something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it at all.
I say it's we talked about a week or so ago.
About a week ago.
But it can be a good thing when you get released by WWE. I mean, you had your name out there on one of the biggest major level period of wrestling, and it's it can work out very well. I mean, some people just don't. The word saying belong is maybe a little harsh to some people, but sometimes you do your. If you put your time into a big company, it draws a bigger name for you and opens up some doors. And sometimes you can do better outside the company than you would be able to do there. So, hey, hope it suits well for everybody.
Yeah, and hopefully it's off to better things than what they got.
Absolutely.
And if worst comes to worst, you can be like in Andrade's case, he could be Andrade something. He could be Jake something's cousin.
Never know.
But we'll call it a wrap. We mainly were just reviewing WrestleMania 17 when Austin shook hands with the devil himself and turned heel.
Boo.
You could get